So everything's set up. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our second class on cracking NTA Net English PYQ analysis. So we are going to continue whatever we have studied in previous class. We have covered at almost 10 questions yesterday and all about their explanations and extra perk as well. So today let's recap first what we have studied. And if anyone is there, just say hi in the comment box. So the first question was when nature prompted and no law denied. So there was quote and it was asked from there were four options. First one was answer was Absalom and Achitophel. So these were the questions that we have studied, and we'll start from the 11th. If you haven't attended our previous class, you can just scroll down in the channel and check this video. So let's begin. So our first question this morning is, choose from the following option the correct combination of the plays which made significant use of expressionistic technique. So what is expressionist technique? First you just give me the answer, then we'll explain. Expressionistic is like more realistic thing that they were trying to present in this stage. So we have the four option, and whatever option you think is correct, please write in the comment box. So the first option is the hairy ape and machinal all my sons waiting for lefty. Again the same option, here it's the crucible, rapid transit, and the adding machine. So the answer for this question is, we have the hairy ape and the Emperor Jones, rapid transit, and the adding machine. And for the explanation we have, first of all we should know these are the technique that imaginary non-realistic settings and stylized movement in order to convey their thematic concern. The hairy ape, we know it's by Eugene O'Neill, and it criticizes the industrialization and the dehumanization of workers. And the hero of the this play is named Yank, who was a coal stoker. So these are very important plays, and in the previous exams we have encountered these kind of questions always. Sometime when it was published, or displays by who and who's the main character or protagonist and what it is all about. So in our extra perk we get extra out of the question. Out of all the options we try to cover everything here. So remember, if you haven't subscribed this course, you should as soon as possible, because only we are going to go public for this couple of more session, maybe 7 days demo, and after that we'll only meet you in the course. So please take a time, and it's not expensive, it's very cheap. You will get this course in just $4.99. In the description you'll find how to enroll. You just have to click the link and you'll be added in our WhatsApp and Telegram group. So the second thing is the Emperor Jones. So this play is also written by Eugene O'Neill. It was published somewhere around 1920s, and it's a psychological drama, and it has the protagonist Brutus Jones, who was the main character in the play, and he was an African American pullman who becomes a director on a Caribbean island. The play employs expressionistic technique to depict the protagonist descent into madness and his eventual downfall. So another option is there, rapid transit. This is also an excellent example of expressionistic technique, and this play is written by Edward Mabley, which was performed in 1927. It has only one act, and the play takes place in New York City subway train. It uses expressionistic technique like distorted image and stylized movement to depict the crowded and chaotic environment of the subway. We have another options which uses the technique of expressionistic. So the adding machine. This play is by, let me zoom a little bit. It was by Elmer Rice, and it was performed in 1923. It's a satirical critique of modern society and the dehumanizing of workers. So it tells the story of Mr. Zero, who was an accountant, and this protagonist was replaced by adding machine and begins to question the meaning of his life. So this was our 11th questions. We are moving to our 12th questions, and here the question is, apart from Bertolt Brecht, others who have influenced epic theater are. So here there are 4 options, and write in the comment which option do you think is correct. So Irving Piscator and Antonio Artaud. So Artaud could not be related to epic theater. He is related to epic theater. So obviously we can just eliminate this option, and again another is Martin Esslin and Max Reinhardt. Again Irving Piscator. So seems like this guy would be is associated with epic theater, but anyway, in our explanation we can find the answer. But anyway, what do you think, which one is the correct option? So we'll just go move and see the answer. It's Irving Piscator and Max Reinhardt. So that is our answer. And why is that? We have the explanations for it. And in addition to Bertolt Brecht, these two, Irving Piscator and Max Reinhardt, were 2 other prominent theater practitioners who contributed to the development of epic theater. So Irving Piscator was also a German. So when it comes to epic theater, you should remember this should be associated with Germany, and the main pioneer we know it's Brecht, but these other 2 are also important. So this Piscator guy was a theater director who pioneered the use of multimedia in theater, including film projection, sound effects, and live music. So he was known for his politically engaged production, which often tackled contemporary social and political issues. So, Piscator also approach to theater influenced Brecht development of epic theater. So, Piscator used multimedia in the creation of justice or physical gesture that conveyed a character's social and political context. And we have another who is associated with epic theater is Max Reinhardt. So he was an Austrian theater and the director, so who was known for his lavish, visually stunning productions. His approach to theater was heavily influenced by the idea of expressionism. So remember, in the previous question we found somewhere related to there was one question like who uses the technique of that expressionist technique. So here another in the following questions we have something related to that as well. So remember, every follow-up questions have some relations between each other. So this was our explanation, and we have extra perk for it, that we are talking about theater of cruelty. So in the question there was one option of Antonin Artaud in the option, and he was not associated with epic theater, but he was associated with theater of cruelty. And Artaud was a French playwright, and he was known for his contribution to the development of theater of cruelty. So according to Artaud, he thinks that he believed that Western theater had become too focused on psychological realism and the intellectual analysis of characters. He sought to create a new kind of theater that would engage the audience on a visceral and emotional level. So, and Artaud most famous works are the theater and its double, and he was also, this theater of cruelty, he described it as assault the senses and create a kind of cruelty that would break down the barriers between performers and audience. So that was our extra perk for question number 12. So here comes our 13 questions. 13 question number 13, and it is asking the theological treatise Ecclesiastical Polity was written by who? So if you know the answer, you can just write in the comment. Richard, there are 4 options and one of them is correct. And which one do you think is correct? Remember, this question is related to polity, and all of them are related to that, because we know Francis Bacon was a philosopher, and Raphael Holland said he's known for his chronicles. Richard Hooker, and so we'll see the answer. Answer is Richard Hooker, and the explanation why Richard Hooker is that because he wrote Ecclesiastical Polity is a work of political philosophy and theology by Richard Hooker, and who was a 16th century English theologian, and the book is actually written to defend the Church of England. So seems like all our 4 options are related to church, or all about politics. So the church, so his book defended the Church of England against the Puritanism. So there were Puritans, there were Protestant, Catholic, all these uh, things were going around at that time going on. So he, he actually who wanted to strip of its traditional structure and practices. So these Puritans were against the church, and he defended the church in his work. So that's why it's very important work in our literature. So remember this. Hooker argued that the Church of England was not only justified in its practices, but that these practices were essential for the health and well being of both the church and the state. So the book is notable for its use of reason and natural law arguments to defend the church's practices and for its influences on later Anglican theology. And we have one extra perk for that, that we have explained all other three options and why why they have put these other option in our question. So remember, all of these were 16th century English writer, and they were and who contributed significantly to the field of history and literature. So first one is Hakluyt, who was a geographer and a writer who compiled several important works. So the principle of navigation, voyages, traffic and discoveries of the England. So he wrote about geography. Hakluyt, remember this. Bacon, we know Bacon for his essays, and we know him as a politics. If you are, why why did they put Bacon in the option, is because of his political work, Novum Organum. So it introduced the concept of the scientific method. And we have the last option was Holinshed, was a chronicle. So Holinshed chronicle is quite famous in our literature. So that's why they have put this option in our question. So he is actually best known for Chronicles of England, Scotland and Ireland. Remember, these all are related to politics. That's why they have added them in the question. So anyway, we were on question number 13. Now we'll move to the question number 14. And the question is here: who wrote the popular instruction manual for fishermen titled The Complete Angler, or The Contemplative Man's Recreation? So if you know the answer, you can write in the comment box. So the options are Isaac Walton, Jeremy Taylor and Richard Baxter. And the fourth one, Thomas Hobbes. Remember, again, they have put all these three figures who are also related to politics and their philosophy on how to rule and things. We know Thomas Hobbes for Leviathan. He's also a kind, his work is also related to political. Remember, in the previous questions we have the politics base. Remember, every follow-up questions have some relation with each other. And in this 14th questions, something is related to the previous one. We have 13th question related to who wrote the ecclesiastical, something like that, and it was related to the defense of the church against the Puritans. And here in the follow-up questions we are getting something similar to that. So which option do you think is correct? So most of you would have think about maybe Tyler, Baxter or Hobbes. And The Complete Angler is written by Isaac Walton. and what it is about. We have the explanations for it. And the complete angular or the contemplative man's recreation is a popular instruction manual for fishermen that was written by Isaac Walton in 1653. So all of these, writers who are mentioned in the options are from 17th century, and they were all somewhat related to the same field of studies, like politics, theology, and more. So anyway, the book is considered a classic work of English literature and has been, anyway, the complete angular is a celebration of the joys of fishing and of the natural world. So remember, these highlighted word, these sentences that I highlighted, it's very important when you start, revising everything. Because, if you're revising everything, sometimes you have very less time to do that. And reading every book is not possible. And that's why we have created, this method where every important points are in bold. So you can just take the book while revising, just go through all highlighted and bold sentences, and that'll be your revision. But anyway, let's move. And this is all in our book. We have the collection of 4 volumes starting from 2020 to 2023. And we have both shift 1 and 2, and all the shift we have covered almost like something we have covered 2000 question plus. So in our 4 books, not the question, but remember 4 options as well, so it could be more. So this is a very good method to prepare, and I hope you should join our class every day at 8 a.m. 8 to 10 will cover something like 20 to 25 questions every day. And let's move to the other option. We have extra perk for these questions, and it is related to the all 3 options, why they have mentioned in the options. So Jeremy Taylor, all of them were from 17th century. So these philosopher thinkers are from the 17th century. Jeremy Taylor, as we know, he was also a bishop and theologian known for his devotional writing in his defense of Anglicanism. So he is best known for his holy living and holy dying. So remember his work, Jeremy Taylor, holy living and holy dying. So it actually gives us how to live a virtuous and pious life and prepare for a peaceful death. So it was in the book that he provided this guidance, in the book Holy Living and Holy Dying. Another options we had was Richard Baxter, who was a Puritan theologian and preacher known for his prolific writing and his effort to unify Church of England. So remember, all these 4 options are from the church, and the previous questions also came from the same field, same topic. So always think of the relation between each questions, so you will know what is happening in whoever set the paper. So this dude is famous for the book The Reformed Pastor, which provides guidance for clergy on how to care for their congregation and lead a righteous life. So all of these are kind of guidebook to achieve some goal, and especially related to the church. Again, Thomas Hobbes. Why Thomas Hobbes? Leviathan is famous because according to him, you know, the necessity of a strong and central government to prevent the chaos and violence of the state of nature, that there should be a king who should be the authority figure in the state or in a country. So he defended the monarchy. And again, another question we have. We were in 14th, right? Yes. Now, question number 15. In question number 15th, we have the question, what did Matthew Arnold imply by the term Hebraism in his Culture and Anarchy? So, anyone, if you know the answer, you just write in the comment. Moral education, intellectual autonomy, rational outlook, pragmatic attitude. Tell me, which one do you think is closely associated with this question or the correct answer? So he's talking about culture and anarchy. I mean, in the book, he's talking about Hebraism. The book name is Culture and Anarchy. The answer of this question is moral education. And why? We have the explanation for it. So Arnold used the term Hebraism in his book Culture and Anarchy, which actually refers to the moral and ethical teaching of the Hebrew prophet. So according to him, what he saw as a vital part of the education of the English people. And according to Arnold, Hebraism was a system of moral education that emphasized the importance of personal responsibility, duty, self-discipline, and it stood in contrast to Hellenism, which he saw as a more individualistic and aesthetic approach to life. So we have the answer, moral education. The question was, what did Matthew Arnold imply by the term Hebraism? Answer was moral education. Intellectual could also be, because see, we have teaching Hebrew people, and some option were there like intellectual here, but anyway, we'll just go with moral education, which is the correct one. We have question number 16th here. The journal Scrutiny was founded in 1932 by who? Is it I. Richards or F.R. Lewis, Clint Brooke or J.C. Ransom? What do you think, which one is correct? Again, I'm telling you, you can just write in the comment which option do you think is correct. So the answer for this question is F.R. Lewis. So Scrutiny was found, the journal Scrutiny was found by F.R. Lewis. And we have explanation for it. The journal Scrutiny was founded in 1932 by F.R. Lewis and his wife Q.D. Lewis. And we have extra perk that we have just combined we have in the same, related to same magazine, we have compiled all these other magazines and journal, and all are these in chronological order. So the first was Gentleman's Magazine, one of the first English magazine which was published somewhere between 1731 to and it ran till 1922 and covering a wide range of topic literature, history and politics. Another is the Edinburgh Review, and it was founded in 1802 and it is related to romantic literature. Again, we have the Quarterly Review, which was founded in 1809. It's actually a political journal and it gives a conservative views, and it was major influence on Victorian literature. Again, the Westminster Review. It is also a British political and literary magazine which was founded in 1832, and it was associated with radicalism and played an important development of utilitarianism. So Blackwood's magazine. It is also a magazine which is related to romantic literature, and it is a Scottish literary magazine founded in 1817. Again, we have the Atlantic, which is actually an American literary and cultural magazine founded in 1857, and it published many works of Mark Twain, Ralph Waldo Emerson, and Henry James. The New Yorker, an American magazine founded in 1925, and it has published many important works, fiction, non-fiction, poetry, and other major works. So this is question number 60. The journal Scrutiny was founded in 1932 by F.R. Lewis and his wife Q.D. Lewis. We have question number 17 now. Samuel Pepys. Samuel Pepys' claim to be fame rests on his everybody knows, and just write me in the comments what do you think it is. So we have the question, Samuel Pepys' claims to fame rests on his diary. So the answer is diary. We have explanations. Samuel Pepys, which his lifespan is 1633 to 1703, and he was an English administrator and member of parliament who is best known for his detailed diary that he kept nearly for a decade. And remember, the time period of this diary is 1660 to 1669. 1660 was the restoration, and 1669 somewhere 66 the fire of London happened. So anyway, so we have Samuel Pepys, and he is known for the diary, and he kept for nearly a decade around 1660 to 1669, and it actually mentions his personal experience, personal events, and commentary on every kind of event that happened during the time period 1660 to 1669. And some of the major events that he captured in his diary was the restoration of the monarchy, the Great Plague, and the Great Fire of London. And we have little more explanation about it. And in his diary, Pepys was also a significant figure in the development of the British Navy and served as a secretary to the Admiralty. And he was notable collector of books, manuscript, and other cultural artifact. And his library was one of the most extensive, valuable. Anyway, so Samuel Pepys' time period recorded all the entries during 1660, 1669, couple of major events that he covered was the restoration of the monarchy, the Great Plague, and the fire of London. And one of the interesting things, that I have read about the Great Fire of London. I mean, he wrote in his diary that people were running away from everything, and some of the people were like they were hiding. They left even their family, but they were hiding the wine in the. They dug up the hole and put their things there. So it is very well described, and if you want to, read that, you can also get in Wikipedia. So couple of excerpt is there, you can read. So Samuel Pepys. And remember, so on diary we encountered two questions somewhere around. I mean, I'll just show you, like here, just not the question number 8. To diary, no. One, so they have asked two questions related to diary. That, see the question. So in the diary, again, Pepys saw and made this comment on Midsummer Night's Dream. It is the most insipid, ridiculous play that I have ever saw in my life. So Samuel Pepys is the one who depicted. So two questions have come in this exam. See, Samuel Pepys' claims to fame rest on his diary. So again, we have another character. I mean, it is a question related to a character. So Dr. Primrose is a character in where we know Nicholas Nicklby's protagonist is Nicholas Nickleby. Adam Bede is Adam Bede, and the Joseph Andrew was protagonist for that. So we have the Vicar of the Wakefield. So maybe this is the answer. So the Vicar of the Wakefield. The Primrose was a vicar in the Vicar of the Wakefield. And we have the answer, the Vicar of the. We have added explanation for it. Dr. Primrose is the protagonist of the novel The Vicar of Wakefield, written by Oliver Goldsmith. And he's a kind-hearted, so his character is described something like that he's a kind-hearted, gentle vicar who lives with his family in English countryside. And he's deeply religious man who is devoted to his family and his parishioners. So Dr. Primrose is portrayed as a man of high moral character who always tries to do what is right. Despite his many trials and tribulation, he remains steadfast in his faith and his love for his family. And we have added extra perk for it. Here are some of the major protagonists in Victorian era. So in Victorian era, we have couple of major characters. Not couple of, we have like 8, like 10 characters I have just charted out here. Jane Eyre from Jane Eyre by Bronte. Pip was the character in Great Expectation. Dorothy Brooke was from Middlemarch. David Copperfield from the title name David Copperfield. Catherine Anja from Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte. Oliver Twist from Oliver Twist by Dickens. Bathsheba Everdeen is from Far From Madding Crowd by Thomas Hardy. And Phineas Finn from Phineas Finn by Anthony Trollope. And Tess, of course, from Tess of the Turbotines by Hardy. And Dr. John Watson from Sherlock Holmes series by Arthur Cannon Doyle. So these are the major protagonists in the Victorian era. So today we have covered somewhere 8 questions now. We'll cover 5 or 10 more and then we'll end the class. So question number 19 is here in your screen, and just read it and answer the question. So go on and read. So I'm going to read it for you. So the baby was carried in a small deal box under an ancient woman's shawl to the churchyard that night and buried by lantern light at the cost of a shilling and a pear or beer to the sexton in that shabby corner of God's allotment where he lets the nettles grow and where all unbaptized infants, notorious drunkard, suicides and other of the conjectural damned are laid. So it's about the baby who is quite small baby which can be fit, in a small deal box, ancient woman's shawl. So that we have the option. So in Great Expectation, if you have read, there is mention about the child but not that small, who can be carried in a small deal box. So Great Expectation, we can escape. It's about Pip, but Pip was not that small when he met that convict in graveyard. Opening scene, opening event in Great Expectation. So he was not that small. In Mill the Floss, when George Eliot was introduced, she was not like a baby, a small baby. She was somewhere a 6th or 7th year, where she ran away with the gypsies in the beginning of the novel. So Mill and the Floss cannot be. Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte, and it's talk about some small child. So in Wuthering Heights, we saw when we read it, all these characters were child, of course, in the beginning, but not that baby which can carried in a box. So Wuthering Heights could not be, but they have one sickly child which was like Linton Heathcliff, I guess. So it could not be. So we are left with one option, Tess by Thomas Hardy. In Tess, once he gave birth to a sickly child who didn't survive, it was Tess, and her child name was Sorrow. So in the answer, we have Tess by Thomas Hardy. So in Tess, there is mention about sickly small child which can be carried in a box, and the explanations we have, and also this passage explains so much things about the character. So this passage from Thomas Hardy's Tess of the D'Urbervilles, and it describes the tragic fate of Tess's unnamed child who is born out of the wedlock and dies soon after death. So unnamed child was not there, his name was there, and we know as Sorrow. So the child is buried in a pauper's grave in a neglected corner of the churchyard where the grass is allowed to grow wild and the graves are unmarked. So the passage highlights the social stigma attached to illegitimacy in Victorian England, as well as the callousness with which the poor and marginalized were often treated by society. It also reflects Hardy's preoccupation with the themes of fate, tragedy, and the harsh reality of life in rural England. And we have extra perk for it. Extra perk is for the other options. And here we have, remember, all of the novels that we have mentioned are all has prominent child character. In Wuthering Heights, we have like the sickly child is named Linton Heathcliff, who was the son of Isabella Linton and Heathcliff. So is depicted as weak, selfish, uh, and cowardly, in contrast to the wild and passionate character of his parents. And in Tess of the D'Urberville, Tess' son was Sorrow, is a major character who has a significant impact on Tess's life and the novel's plot. So it was the answer that we were seeking in that question. And in Great Expectation, the protagonist Pip was also a child at the beginning of the novel, and his experience as a young boy shape his later life and relationship. And of course, in the Miller on the Floss, the main character Maggie Tolliver was also a child at the beginning of the novel when she ran away with the gypsies. And her childhood experience and relationship with the family members are central to the story themes of family, education, and societal expectations. And now we are, the 20th question is on your screen, and if you know the answer, write in the comment box. So the question says, which of the following novels is written by Patrick White? So if you know the answer, you can write in the comment. So Cry the Beloved Country is first option, and the Vivisector, The Handmaid's Tale, and The Stone Angel. So we have the first option, Cry the Beloved Country. Let's eliminate one by one. Cry the Beloved Country is not by Patrick White. It is by Alan Paton. And the Handmaid's Tale is by Margaret Atwood, I guess. And we have the Stone Angel. So the answer is could be the vivisector. So we have the answer here, it's the vivisector, and we have the explanations. So Patrick White was an Australian writer who won the Nobel Prize in Literature in 1973, and his major works I have charted out here: Happy Valley, which was published in 1939, The Living and the Dead, which was published in 1941, The Aunt's Story is 1948, The Tree of Man 1955. Remember, the first work of Patrick White is Happy Valley, and they have asked this question in previous exams, and at least one question comes from Australian literature, one or two. And Patrick White is, important writer that they ask every time. So remember his first work, Patrick White, Happy Valley, and the most important work is Was and the Riders in the Chariot. The Solid Mandala is also by Patrick White, and The Vivisector, which was published in 1917 by Patrick White. We have two more work, The Eye of the Storm and The Fringe of the Leaves. And we have an extra perk for it. In extra part, we have Cry the Beloved Country, which is by Alan Paton and published in 1948. So the story takes place in South Africa during the 1940s and follows the journey of a black and Anglican priest named Stephen Kumalo. So, who's the main character in Cry the Beloved Country by Alan Paton is Kumalo, who is the protagonist. Who actually goes the question, and one question also was there in previous net about Johannesburg, where he takes the journey. So, who travels to Johannesburg in search for his son? So, that is the plot of the story. Who has been accused of murdering a white man, and the novel explores the theme of racial inequality, social injustice, and the search for meaning and reconciliation. And we have the Vivisector, which is a novel by Patrick White, published in 1970. And it is the story of Hurtle Duffield, and who's Australian painter, and he's quite obsessed with his art, and he was driven by the desire to capture the essence of life in his work. So the Vivisector is about Australian painter who's obsessed, and driven by a desire to capture the essence of life. Again, The Handmaid's Tale is by Margaret Atwood, and remember, it's a dystopian novel. It was published in 1985. The story takes place in the future totalitarian society called the Republic of Gilead, where women are stripped of their rights and forced into sexual slavery from the purpose of bearing children. So the novel explores themes like gender, power, and dangers of religious fundamental. And we have the last option, which was The Stone Angel, and it was written by Margaret Lawrence, who is Canadian also, and it was published in 1964. So it is the story of Hagar Shepley, who's the protagonist, and she is an aging woman living in a small town called in Western Canada, who reflects on her past and struggles to come to terms with the choices she has made. The novel explores themes of family, aging, and the search of meaning and redemption. So we have covered 10 questions today. We'll also move 5 more questions if we can complete, and then I'll see you tomorrow. But let's cover at least 5 more questions if we can. So in 21 question, the question says, which among the following is not written by Kamala Markandeya? So which one do you think is the answer? So if you think it's Summer in Her Fury, write 1 in the comment. And if you think it's The Nowhere Man, you can write in the comment. Remember, the question is not written by Kamala Markandeya. Third option, A Time to Be Happy, and the fourth is The Golden Honeycomb. So which answer do you think is correct? Write in the comment box. And now we'll just move to the answer, and it's A Time to Be Happy. And A Time to Be Happy is actually by Nayantara Sahagal, first published in 1958, and the story is set in post-independence India and revolves around a young woman named Sita, and who actually struggles to find her place in a rapidly changing society. So Sita is a kind of modern and independent woman who actually refuses to conform the traditional roles expected of women in Indian society. And this novel actually explores the themes of identity, gender roles, and social changes in India. And we have extra perk for it. So I'll give you just 2 minutes break and I'll be back. So 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 we have extra perk for it. Remember what we have discussed before. The question was, which among the following is not written by Kamala Markandeya? So answer was A Time to Be Happy, which is written by Nayantara Sahgal, which was published in 1951, and it was about a woman named Sita who struggles to find her place in the changing society. And we have extra perk for it, that Inner Fury, Some Inner Fury, The Nowhere Man, and The Golden Honeycomb are novels written by Kamala Markandeya. So Some Inner Fury, published in 1955, is about tension between Hindu and Muslim. And The Nowhere Man, 1972, is a novel which explores the challenge faced by Indian immigrants in London, particularly those from East Africa. And The Golden Honeycomb, published in 1961, is about a young Indian woman named Rukmani who struggles to find her place in society, ultimately challenging traditional gender and roles and societal expectations. So question number 22 is on your screen, and tell me the answer. Who among the following were revaluing the masses as sources and subject of literature? So when it comes to masses, it should be related to popular culture and culture study. So these we have the option here, these four, and tell me which one do you think is the correct answer. Write in the comment box if you're there. So the answer is Richard Hoggart and Raymond Williams. We have explanations for it. Richard Hoggart and Raymond Williams were prominent literary scholar, as we know, and who sought to revalue the role of the masses as sources and subject of literature. And they argued that traditional literary studies had too often ignored the experience and perspective of ordinary people, and that a more democratic approach was needed. So, by examining literature from the perspective of the masses, they believed that a scholar could gain new insight into the social and cultural forces shaping society. And we have extra perk for it. So the question was, who among the following is revaluing the masses and sources and subject of literature? So the answer was Richard Hoggart and Raymond Williams. And we have extra perk why the other options are there. So Penny Summerfield, both are scholar in the cultural studies, and they talk about gender, memory and war. Another option was there, Rachel Alsop and Catherine Belsey. They are also cultural studies scholar, and they talk about popular culture, identity and gender. John Cook and Marilyn Deegan are other notable cultural studies scholars. They always talk, they in their work they talk about culture, literature and politics. And we have question number 23 here. And in question number 23, we have, who among the following theorists has written on narrative empathy? Remember, it is talking about narrative empathy. We have four options. Michael Ryan, Suzanne Keeney, Toni Morrison and Sarah Ahmed. Which one do you think is the correct answer? If you know, just write in the comment box, or if you don't know, you can just guess, because guess plays one of most important role in the exam. So yeah, don't miss the opportunity. Just if you think is whatever you think is correct, you can just write. So the answer is here, Suzanne Keeney. And explanation says this Keeney lady, Suzanne Keeney, is a literary scholar who has written about narrative empathy. And narrative empathy means the ability of literature to elicit emotions and empathy in readers by engaging with the characters and their experience. And remember, all these explanations you will get in the book, and we will have also highlighted sentences which are important for your revision. And we have extra perk for these questions, and the Michael Ryan is one of the options which were in the question, who is a literary theorist and author of several works including narrative and a split condition of knowledge. So he is also related to narrative, so that's what they have mentioned, and they have put this option in the question, and in which he explores the relationship between narrative and knowledge. Another, we had Toni Morrison, is a renowned American novelist we know, who wrote Beloved and The Bluest Eyes. We have Sarah Ahmed, another option, who is a cultural theorist and feminist scholar, who has written extensively on issues related to race, gender and sexuality. And a couple of famous books are there, Queer Phenomenology and Living a Feminist Life. And here comes question number 24. It's in your screen. If you know the answer, write in the comment box. The question is, the science that systematically studies the function of sign is known as what? Is it semantic or scriptoria or seismography or semiology? Which one do you think is correct? So the answer is semiology. And semiology is what? It is the science that systematically studies the function of sign is known as semiotics or semiology. So this field actually studies the sign of sign, symbol, and their meaning and interpretation. And semiotic analyze signs and symbol in various contexts, which could be language, art, and culture, to understand how they are used to communicate meaning and shape our understanding of the world around us. So we have extra perk for this question. Semantic is the field which studies the science of language concerned with the meaning of words and phrases. Scriptoria is kind of medieval European monasteries where people were writing, where monk would copy, illuminate, and decorate manuscript. And seismography, we know it's used for recording seismic waves caused by earthquake. And we have semiology, which was our correct answer, which studies the signs and symbols and their use and interpretation. We have example for it. Couple of example is there. See, signs such as traffic signs, symbols, and logos. So here comes, today we are only covering 25 questions. So this will be our last question for today, and from tomorrow we'll just continue and we'll try to cover 25 question again. So remember, every question has so much things, not only the correct answers explanation, but we have the other explanation and extra perk which plays a really crucial role in your exam. So the next question is here. 25. Question number 25 is there. Who among the following first framed the theory of general hermeneutics? So if you think of hermeneutic, what is the first thing comes in your mind? Which answer? So here is the answer. Ferdinand de Saussure is from the linguistic. And the third one, Friedrich Schleiermacher, E.D. Hirsch. So which one do you think is correct? If you know the answer, or if you can also guess, write in the comment box. And so the answer is Friedrich Schleiermacher. An explanation for it is he is a German philosopher and theologian who is widely considered to be the frame of a theory of general hermeneutic. In his work, so he has mentioned this first in his work Hermeneutic and Criticism, which was published in 1838. And he defined hermeneutic as the art of understanding and interpretation, especially of text. And other other philosophers are in the field of hermeneutics, which includes Friedrich, of course, Schleiermacher, and Wilhelm Dilthey, also Martin Heidegger, Hans-Georg Gadamer, and Paul Ricoeur. And we have extra perk for this question. And Wilhelm Dilthey, he was also a German. He was also historian and developed the hermeneutic approach to the human science. So the first pioneer was that Friedrich Schleiermacher, and now we have Ferdinand de Saussure, who is a Swiss linguistic. We know him is the founder of the modern linguistic. E.D. Hirsch is American literary critics, and he is associated with advocacy of cultural literacy. So the question number 25 is in. We have completed the session today, and I'll see you tomorrow. So remember, if you haven't joined the course, you do join, because it's very important. And remember, imagine if you have if you can just continue till your exam this kind of explanation, at least 1.5 or 2 hours, if you can give, you will know 2000 plus questions, and also you will just learn the way that you will never forget all these 2000 question along with 4 options each, I mean in each question. So it'll be like 8000 question or something. And we have also we'll talk about the relations between questions, how the follow-up questions are coming in these exams, especially these days. In last 4 or 5 years, all related follow-up questions are coming. And please take a time. It's just $4.99 for the course. You can just join. Otherwise, you can, if you don't want the class, what you can do is you can just get a book similar like this. We have 4 volumes and you can place the order. I have given the I have written in the description box that you can just find out there, and you can WhatsApp me. The number is mentioned there. And if you want to know more about it, if you want more demo, if you want also couple of pages of ebooks, I can also give it to you. And when you think, I mean, if you think it's right book for you or right course for you, you can just join and we'll start this journey and we'll just continue every single day. We are not gonna miss whatever happen until the exam. So that consistency is very important when you are preparing these kind of exams. And trust me, when you complete this course, you will be well equipped to solve any kind of questions comes in the exam. And this is very important. So guys, I'll just take a leave now, and I'll see you tomorrow same time, 8 o'clock, maybe a little bit late, which could be like 8:15 or 8:20, and we'll go till 10 or 9:30 something. And we'll try to cover 25 questions tomorrow, so be there. And first 7 class is we are going like public. You don't have to pay, it's kind of demo. You can, and if you feel okay, this course is right for me, now I've decided to join, what you're gonna do, you just have to WhatsApp me. Okay guys, then see you tomorrow, and all the best for the exam.